Women of Water. It was created specifically to uplift and empower women in our industry.
Who you are plays a role in what jobs you obtain.
I have been that woman who hid her pregnancy for as long as I could, who overworked in those moments.
When I first started in this field, I never wanted to wear a dress. I always wanted to blend in. I didn't want to wholly own being the woman in the room or, the girl on the project.
I applaud DC Water, and I think that is because you have, women on this stage who can talk about those things.
My belief is that culture, diversity, equity, they all start at the top.
Welcome, everybody. We are so excited to be here today, International Women's Day. While our discussion today is going to be centered around resiliency, I should mention that the theme of International Women's Day is break the bias, right? So we're going to throw up the sign for break the bias. And DC Water is well on its way to breaking the bias. We don't just talk the talk, we walk the walk. It's evidenced here. We have not one, but 3 chief executive officers who are women. So a round of applause.
What does it mean to bring your authentic self to work?
I think there's a need for women to know that they belong, that they have influence over decisions, that they can feel comfortable speaking up, that they feel like they have a senior leader that will help them grow and advance. That thinking that they can be respected by their peers and by their managers. That is all part of belonging and creating that environment.
How can we support women at DC Water who are trying to balance their responsibilities and their commitment to work?
To answer your question, I think this flexibility and not just teleworking. Being able to, have that conversation with each other that says, don't start a meeting before 9 o'clock and don't have a meeting after 3 o'clock because some of us are taking kids to school or picking kids up.
I would say that the more diverse our teams are, the more diverse our thought leadership is, our mindset.
What we can do is to continue to listen to the broader team and understanding what their needs are, because the times have demonstrated that we can do things differently and still be successful.
How can DC Water continue to ensure an equitable environment for women?
Be the woman who fixes another queen's crown without telling the world it was crooked. Tapping that, woman on their shoulder to say, I think you would be good at, XYZ, or you should take this class or look for these different, training opportunities.
What suggestions do you have for your male colleagues to support you and other women?
Men have to create an environment where there's trust between that woman and that man so that the women will speak up. Because I will tell you, if a woman trusts a male counterpart or their manager, they will overspeak. They will tell you everything.
The theme of the day is break the bias, but I think that is probably the number one bias that has to be broken, is what a woman's, even if it is delivered with a certain tone or a sense of urgency for change for themselves, that advocating for oneself is not a bad thing, especially if you're a woman.
What would be the one piece of advice you'll give a female colleague or junior for her future career?
We need to be our own voice, but make sure that it's always respectful.
You do not raise your hand to be the note taker in the meeting. And don't let anybody ask you to be the note taker in the meeting, because that takes you away from being present in the meeting.
I think sometimes it is okay to be the angry Black woman, because, when you think about the 111 years, 111 11 years that we have been celebrating International Women's Day, and the themes have changed slightly, but it's always been the same: make women equal.
Who's missing? If someone is not in the room and you're really at an impasse, who's missing? Inclusion is about who's missing in the conversation, and it's really about having those rich conversations with women to really have that opportunity to get to know how to create that inclusive environment. And if you do that, I guarantee you, it will increase engagement for women, it will increase productivity.
Quick reminder, if you're not a WOW member, please register. Get informed, stay connected. Come lift and climb with us. Thank you, everybody.